Hi Siddharth, tell me about your journey. What are you doing before that?
As opposed to being an executive in a company, was the first trigger, which was led by being in control of my time, being in control of how I wanted to do something, which you can't always get in any organization as good as it is. The bug to be an entrepreneur and do something on my own. Let me tell you, in life, in order to discover who you are, you have to first understand who you're not. So, to address that challenge and to avoid being pigeonholed into categories that people think you're in, we said we are not plant-based. In fact, we don't use the word plant-based at all. We are a vegetarian ingredient that delivers fantastic proteins, magnetic quality that India has always had. How could you not want to be here, building for this new generation of consumers? Their hunger to consume, their hunger to learn, their hunger to explore isn't so inspiring.
Welcome in today's episode of the Fitcru Show, guys, where we deep dive into the exciting world of food innovation and health. I know I'm super excited about today. Today we are thrilled to have a very, very special guest. In fact, he's flown down from Bangalore. Siddharth, the founder and CEO of Vigolution. Now, if you'll ask me what is Vigolution, Vigolution is the company that has formed this beautiful product called Hello Tempeh. It's made by fermenting soya beans. Hello Tempeh actually is one of the pioneers of providing us or providing the Indian consumer with lean tempeh, like good pre-cooked, pre-made lean tempeh. It is very high in protein, extremely good for your gut health. It's a very versatile food that can be added into vegetarian dishes, Italian dishes, Mexican dishes. I mean, we have multiple recipes where we use Hello Tempeh as a base, and that's why we wanted to invite Siddharth over for this entire chat. Now, Siddharth brings over 2 decades of rich experience in food and service, in the food and service industry. He's also worked in the hospitality industry. He's actually a part of the casino industry as well. And he's understood how to bridge gaps between what the consumer wants and what the consumer needs, but what the market is not able to supply. And with that, he has given us such valuable insights where they could actually come into India and give us a product which makes consuming protein very easy for vegetarians. So without further ado, I would like for you to welcome Siddharth. Hi Siddharth, what's up? Welcome to Fitcru. It's so good to have you here. For our listeners, for our viewers, can you tell them what is it that you do and why do you do it?
So, I've started a company and a brand called Hello Tempeh.
Okay.
But that's really the punchline. That's really the punchline. What really matters is I spend my time trying to bridge the protein gap in India.
Okay.
And I know that sounds like a really lofty mission and something that's far-fetched. But that's really what I wake up and do every day.
Okay.
The way we've chosen to do it is by introducing something called tempeh, which is a new ingredient into India, in order to sort of make it easy for people to incorporate it into their daily diet. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But bridging the protein gap in India by making tempeh sort of this understood staple food in a large country like ours is what I do via a product called tempeh and a brand called Hello Tempeh.
And why did you choose tempeh? I mean, where we have options for protein like eggs and chicken and tofu.
Yeah.
Why select something that the masses are not aware of? What made you believe that, okay, this product would be absorbed by the Indian consumer?
Yeah, I think there's two answers to that, right? One is from a top-down perspective. I don't believe there are shortcuts to food.
No chance.
Right? Unless you're, as is in the news these days, unless you're figuring out shortcuts.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
There are no shortcuts.
Yeah.
And we're in the long game,
Yep.
right? If you really want to make a difference in people's diets, it's not a 1-year, 2-year thing. We felt that introducing a brand new paneer, just branded differently, was again going to be about price and would commoditize. Same thing with tofu. Same thing with many of the ingredients that are available. They're already available.
Yeah.
People are aware of them. But there's still a deficit of protein. There is still a lack of choice. So what people are looking for is not another brand selling the same commodity, but something that they can add to their diet.
Something that's novel.
And that's novel and new and effective.
Yeah.
So somebody has to take the leap of faith by believing that a particular product suits the market, which is what our work was for a year before we even launched it. But introducing something new is hard work. But that is the hard work required if you're really committed to bridging any kind of gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And Yeah, you're saying that there are two answers to that question.
And the second part, which was we're mission oriented and you needed something new. And the second part was when we started looking at tempeh, the ingredient, it felt like it was born in the wrong country. Should have been born in India. It's porous, it absorbs flavors so beautifully. It's a fermented soy product. So it turns into a block, from beans to a block, like a paneer block.
Yeah.
The beans turn into a block. So flavors pakadta hai, which is Indians love any food that absorbs flavor. Two, it's a product that you can cube it, you can mince it, you can mash it. So forget the nutrition. Just the cooking of the product, once you get the hang of it. We were cooking up a storm at home. Our friends were cooking up a storm before we even decided to do it, and said, man, this is really cookable. You don't need to buy new utensils. You don't need to learn new techniques. It's what we do at home, you can do with tempeh.
Just replace the protein.
You can replace the protein and learn a few tricks and you're off. And then the other side of the coin was the nutrition. It is the highest protein quantity for any vegetarian/vegan food under the sun. So when we discovered that, we said, where you been? Why is this such a secret? When it has high fiber, low fat, low carbs, and is fermented, so it's easy on your gut.
It's better for your gut.
It's better for your gut. And we said, this is an 800-year-old food. I didn't discover it. So it's like somebody questioning haldi,
Yeah.
It's like somebody questioning something that's native to us. This is native to some other place, but it's smart to adopt it. So at a ground level, the product has the chops in the kitchen and nutritionally. And yes, it is a long game to make sure that it becomes a staple.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to make that effort. Otherwise, we'll just keep selling the same thing over and over again at different prices.
Wow. So what is tempeh? Like overall, I'm kind of aware of what tempeh is, and there are different ways to make it.
Yeah.
You can make it from, like you said, the soybeans, and I think edamame as well, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if for our listeners, if you can explain what tempeh is.
Yeah. So tempeh, I'll give you its origin because it matters.
Okay.
Oftentimes, it's just a quick sidebar, right?
Yes,
A
please.
sidebar is the world of food, as we were talking about, can get quite confusing. And the primary cause of that confusion is food lobbies that fund studies when they're threatened by an ingredient.
Yep.
So the meat lobby in the US in the 60s and 70s were threatened by soy.
Yep.
So they came up made guys drink 20
Estrogen.
liters of soy, 20 liters
Yeah.
of soy milk a day, and crazy things like that to be able to talk about estrogen when they didn't realize it was phytoestrogen and it doesn't look like the body,
Correct.
like the estrogen your body produces. So the world is full of studies that make sense and a lot of studies that don't make sense, right? And in that kind of a world, we wanted to go back to a food that has stood the test of time. I sincerely believe, from a probability theory standpoint, mathematically, statistically, if a food has been consumed by generations and generations over centuries and continues to be consumed because it's good for them and they've seen results and health, whether it's idli for us or whether it is the use of turmeric that people are discovering today, but it's been centuries. Tempeh is that for the island of Java.
Okay.
So it came from the island of Java 800 odd years ago. In under a century, removed kids, like 60% of the kids were facing malnutrition. It nearly removed malnutrition from the island of Java.
Okay.
And so now you have this historically significant food that the world doesn't know about. And what it is nothing but beans, non-GMO soybeans, the way we make it, because that's the most potent form of protein.
Okay.
Soybeans that are fermented for about 36 to 48 hours. And when the beans get fermented, they form a beautiful white block.
Okay.
And that white block looks like a block of paneer or tofu, except it has a beautiful beaniness to it.
Got it.
And that is the three ingredients that make up tempeh: soybeans, water, and a fermentation culture. There's no fourth ingredient. And that is why it's a bean to protein. I wish I needed to complicate it further, but it's literally that simple. We cut it into cubes, sell it in a natural way. But then to make it more easy to use, we marinate it in peri-peri, tawa masala, Szechuan, to make it more fun. Food is emotional,
Absolutely.
right? You feel like eating something. You don't necessarily always think, you feel like eating it. So in order to make tempeh a feeling, we said add peri peri, add Szechuan, add tawa masala, add tandoori, all clean marinades, and that's basically what it is.
Lovely. It takes me back to, I think, 2021. Just, I don't know, during the pandemic or during lockdown. Actually, this is actually during lockdown because we had a lot of time on our hands, and I tried making my own tempeh.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it was disaster because I got a tempeh kit because that's when I was learning a lot about nutrition, and I was like, there is one more alternate to vegetarian protein, and that's where I was trying to transition into more vegetarian protein sources because I have an autoimmune called ankylosing spondylitis. So when I eat chicken and mutton or any other form of non-vegetarian protein apart from fish, I get a lot of inflammation and a lot of
Right.
pain and aches in my body.
Right.
And so I was looking for sources, literally that, and I'm lactose intolerant as well.
Got it.
So paneer is out of the box. So then I was like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So tempeh came into the picture, and I did all my research, and then I found that okay, you have to acquire a certain amount of soybeans. Then there's an activator or something like that.
Starter culture.
Starter culture, and you need to have a muslin cloth and all that jazz. I tried making it, and then there was the fermentation, and it did come to a block. And then I cut it. I tried eating it, and it obviously, like I wasn't a pro at it. I didn't know how to do it because it's the first time I did it, and I gave up. I was like, okay, this is not my cup of tea. Cut to now, recently when I got your product, and how easy it was for me to cook it. I think that just won it for me because it wasn't something like even a paneer where you take a block of paneer, chop it up, then marinate it or cook it how you don't know, plus the amount of fat content in it. Then you have to calculate how much fat you're consuming, whether you have to have it with the carb, not have it with the carb.
Right.
Because I'm very calculative about the food that I consume. So yeah, it just made life so much easier for me to consume it, and now I'm having it maybe once a week, twice a week as a source. So just instead of depending on tofu or eggs or paneer sometimes if I feel like, now I've got something else in my inventory.
Yeah.
And I think you're not in the protein game. I think you're in the convenience game, to be honest. That's what I would like to position you all as, because
Sure.
yeah, you made my life convenient in that. You made it easier for me to decide, or not decide rather, that okay, this is what I can eat for breakfast, or this is what I can eat for lunch today.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of tempeh is that it's a food that people make their own, and they find their own joy in it. So there are people who find an ingredient, they only buy natural, and they actually cook with it. They spend time cooking it, seasoning it, and making stuff.
Yeah.
Then there's an audience that says, I can't be bothered with any of that. Give me an almost finished product.
Yeah.
Some people love it as an ingredient, some people love it for convenience. It's that versatile, right?
Yeah.
So, like anything new, right? Anything good and anything new, it still faces sort of, why should I do it? How should I do it? So protein becomes that concentrated center, which says, hey, I want a little bit more protein. It doesn't have to be, I need, some people are consuming 12, 15 grams at most.
Yeah.
They're trying to just get to 25.
Yeah.
They're still under, but they're just trying to improve. For them, protein becomes that little bridge to getting there.
Yeah.
Then there's somebody like you who says, hey, I know what I need and I know when I need it. It becomes a bridge for you to cross your. So we didn't make it for everybody to be at the highest end. It was meant for everybody that were just looking to level up from wherever they are.
Correct. Yeah, and it makes complete sense. But tell me something, like trying to get, I mean, although I was aware about the product, but I'm sure like you might be facing so many challenges in terms of awareness of the product, like how telling somebody that, hey, this is tempeh and it's a new source of protein. What are the challenges that you faced overall in your journey so far?
Yeah, I think the first challenge we foresaw was us not having clarity around what we wanted to do with tempeh.
Okay.
We said, if we don't have clarity on what tempeh is about and what master it serves, or what series of masters it serves, then how do you expect consumers to understand what you are?
Correct.
Right? So we knew there would be a lot of confusion around what it is and what purpose it serves. To address that, we were very clear that we're not plant-based meat, because there was a lot of conversation about plant-based meat. Let me tell you, in life, in order to discover who you are, you have to first understand who you're not.
Who you're not.
So to address that challenge, And to avoid being pigeonholed into categories that people think you're in,
Yeah.
we said we are not plant-based meat. In fact, we don't use the word plant-based at all. Our product is plant-based.
Yeah.
But just like French fries doesn't call itself plant-based, right? We said the market and the audience is a vegetarian audience, and a subset and a smaller group is a vegan audience. We said we are a vegetarian ingredient that delivers fantastic protein. So we're a vegetarian protein ingredient.
Yeah.
That's it. That is the clarity of message. So while you have paneer on one side, which is also a vegetarian protein, tofu, that's a lower amount of protein, but also a vegetarian protein, tempeh is a new vegetarian protein that gives you more choices.
Okay.
That clarity was critical because with that clarity, we were able to cross that first bridge of, bhai, aap ho kaun, right? And why should I buy you?
Yeah.
The second thing is the protein gap in people's head is growing exponentially.
Yeah.
So all we needed to do was to say, if you're vegetarian or you're mostly vegetarian, and you find that there's not enough choices, tempeh is a new choice and you should give it a shot.
Yeah.
We did not sell tempeh. We just invited people into the experience if they felt that that was something they were experiencing. So we try to invite people into the experience only if they resonate.
Yeah.
We don't try selling to everybody. And so the second thing is make anything new an invitation as opposed to a hard sell.
Yeah.
So I think getting across those two bridges gave us a platform of people who were interested, were curious, and we're slowly building on it. If I were to sit here and saying we've solved every problem and we're the best at what we do, no way. But what I do think the team and I have worked very hard on is to making it as understandable as possible, as accessible as possible,
Yeah.
as democratic as possible. This is not like, acha, ye to wo exotic ye hai.
Quinoa or
It's
couscous.
exotic
Yeah.
and only rich people eat it. And neither is it something that is so pedestrian that says it's a commodity. We've tried to hit that, what we call, it's aspirational enough because the product delivers so much, but it's accessible enough that you can have it too.
Correct.
So, and there's about 100 other challenges, but I think getting past these has allowed us to address the other challenges, which are more day to day.
Yeah. And now that you say it, I realize why you came up with the name Hello Tempeh. Yeah. Now, like there's a lot of
That's it.
there's a lot of thought about it. There's a lot of thought behind it. That this is we are introducing it to you. It's your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It always has been their choice.
Absolutely.
Right? We just, corporate marketing and food marketing and just life marketing in general
Yeah.
has said, we got to keep telling them. We got to keep telling them. Today, the audience wants to be invited and it's their choice.
Yeah.
And it always has been, but they're just embracing that choice themselves. And so as a brand, that's all you can do.
No, I get it. I was in conversation with the founder of Wicked Good, Bhuvan, and he has a similar mission like yours. And I like speaking to founders like that because there is a mission behind it. It's not one of those food companies that is trying to play on clever packaging and saying this is better for you versus actually delivering a product which is good for you. And your product is that it's actually good for you. So how do you manage to stay away from the shelf where people say that, oh, this is baked and rich in protein, those kind of flaky taglines that go on different chips and puffs and all that that people might most probably misunderstand that, okay, this is going to give them the protein that they want.
Yeah.
Versus your product, which is actually delivering that. How do you manage to distinguish yourself from it?
Yeah. I mean, see, that was a choice we made when we went with Tempeh.
Yeah.
Right. Oftentimes people ask me, they're going, hey man, you picked a pretty hard one. But it's worth it. I get it, but it's pretty hard. I said, what's hard is you got to build the awareness and the adoption. What's easy is Tempeh comes with so much good stuff that I have so many good things to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't have to
hide behind a curtain.
When we do our labeling, people fight for space. No, put fermented goodness. No. They want high fiber. Please put high fiber first. Oh, by the way, it's low in net carbs. And then somebody will say, hey, by the way, the FSSAI doesn't allow you to say low carb. immediately it's like, we're not going to put that. So if you look at it's a low carb product, but we don't call it low carb because you're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Right? It may be crazy, but we toe the party line.
Yeah. You can say high protein.
Yeah, you can say rich in protein, you can
yeah.
say high protein, you can say high fiber, but there's rules for all that.
Yeah.
So when you have a product
which is checking
that
so
gives
many
you
boxes,
so much to work with,
yeah.
झूठ बोल के क्या फायदा है भाई? Right? Make it tasty, work on recipes.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't invent it, but so the challenge of building tempeh out is contrasted with the beauty that this product allows me to really go out and say it, and I sleep very well at night, that nobody's going to call me on all these different claims in my packaging.
Yeah.
So I don't need to lie.
Yeah.
Right? Which is part of the reason we picked tempeh.
Yeah. And then again, like this kind of answers another question that just popped in my head, that how do you manage to keep it on the shelf for so long?
Yeah. So, there's been a lot of advancements in food, but we're sticking to the good old basics. So when we make our tempeh, we make it fresh, we cut it, and then we vacuum pack it. Okay. And when we vacuum pack it and pasteurize it, it gives it a shelf life that comes up to 60 days or up to 90 days, which is what we have. In fact, the shelf life of the product can go up to 120 to 160 days, but we don't keep it. We don't push it.
Obviously.
And we've done plenty of safety studies, so we keep it to 90 days without any artificial ingredients, without any preservatives or chemicals, because tempeh doesn't have dairy. Yeah. It naturally has an extended shelf life. All you need to do is pasteurize it.
Okay.
What that does is you got to pick your spot in life. Do you want to be for the elite, charging 250 to 300 rupees for 200 grams? Or do you want to have tempeh available to as many people as possible? And what is the best solution for that? Tempeh enabled us to have that through vacuum packing and pasteurizing. And so we don't offer extended shelf lives. The product itself allows that to happen, but you got to do some homework and make an effort to do it. And frankly, at a global level, today, and this is not boasting, we're doing more innovation in the world of tempeh in India than is happening anywhere in the globe. You can Google Amazon.us right now, and you can search for tempeh. You can go to Amazon.in and search for tempeh, and you tell me between our website and between Amazon India where there's more variety of product. And you know why? Not because we're smarter, not because we're richer. We're more desperate.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, we are hungry in the literal sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have the people to feed also. And I do believe that's what we were speaking yesterday on a call, that if we can, we have something to our advantage or disadvantage, depends on how you look at it.
Correct.
Right. We are blessed with the biggest population. That's how I would want to look at it. Now, if we can improve their health, we improve the entire nation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what we need to
call
do.
it what you want, right? People want to look good too.
Yeah.
Right. When you have 65% of our country under the age of 35. Don't fool yourself for a minute that there are enough people that want to be healthy, and there's enough people that want to look beautiful, handsome, fit, their Instagram best.
Yeah.
So I always say that we play to two sides of the coin. One is to look good and one is to feel good. We want to look at ourselves in the mirror and go, I look young.
Yeah.
I don't look my age.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you go, hey, by the way, the machinery is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Gives you confidence as a country, gives you confidence as a people. And that's what we're playing to, which is both sides of the coin.
Perfect. Tell me about your journey. Before, what are you doing before tempeh?
Yeah, well, I think if there was such a thing as a 180-degree movement in life, I've had the privilege of being able to do a few different things.
Okay.
So my background is entirely in hospitality. I went to school for hospitality in the US. I studied in the US. I grew up in the Middle East. So I used to come to India all the time, and I've always been desperate to do something in India, but I had a very successful career in casino business. So I lived in Atlantic City, I lived in Las Vegas, built multiple billion-dollar casinos with MGM and companies like that, where it was my calling. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And we got to work with some really great leaders and create some fantastic brands, like, across the US. Got to do the same thing in Australia for a few years, where you got to transform some beautiful casinos into hotels and restaurants and shopping. I then had the opportunity to build real estate in Dubai. So at a time in 2012, 2013, when Dubai was coming out of the financial crisis and building was happening again, got to do some really large scale, cool stuff in Dubai, like Dubai stuff. You know what I call it, but the way Dubai does it.
The larger than life
Real estate developments with lakes and lagoons and beaches and all this other stuff in residential communities. And so my background's always been in very large scale developments, hospitality, real estate developments. And when I got to a certain part of my career, the bug to be an entrepreneur and do something on my own, as opposed to being an executive in a company, was the first trigger. Which was led by being in control of my time. Right? Being in control of my time and being in control of how I wanted to do something. Which you can't always get in any organization, as good as it is.
True.
The second one was this magnetic quality that India has always had, but the magnet is so powerful today. That was just like, how could you not want to be here, building for this new generation of consumers, right? It's so addictive, right? I'd come here, I'd spend time in restaurants and grocery stores. I'd see people like you and people who are working in your office and people who are now working in my office, and I'd walk around and I'd listen to them, and their hunger to consume, their hunger to learn, their hunger to explore is so inspiring, versus multiple generations in the past that were very happy being status quo. Like, the system says I have to eat this, the system says I have to use this washing powder. It was so system oriented, large companies telling the
this
consumer,
is what you need to do.
This is what you're supposed to do. Today, the consumer is so diverse, and they're so in touch with what they want. And I said, this is the fun India to create for.
Correct.
And so being desperate to want to come back and do something in India, which I was very familiar with, but I hadn't built anything here. And tempeh I've talked about, and that's the food while manufacturing and doing food is different from opening restaurants. The love of food is kind of universal. And getting to work with great food producers and marinade producers and chefs that we have in-house to keep making tempeh better and better. For everybody, it's not the perfect taste, it's an acquired taste. How do you make it better? I think so. It's sort of life's journey. People often say, man, you went from casinos to selling tempeh. I said, no, I went from selling escape, entertainment, and the ultimate party into selling
health,
the ultimate protein. For me, it's all the same.
I don't know, like it like when I speak to different founders and I speak to different people who are working on a specific product, like how I'm working on Fitcru right now. I believe that your entire journey leads to that product. Like whatever you've done so far, like you're part of the hospitality industry, you're part of the casino business. You were solving a problem at that point of time for somebody that was looking for maybe entertainment, maybe an escape, maybe a release, versus understanding the mindset of that consumer, and then understanding that, okay, this consumer is also probably facing some other issues in life.
Correct.
How can I fulfill that, or how can I bridge that gap? So I'm one of those people who strongly believes that, everything that you do in life kind of is related to what you've done previously. I have a very different background, and I've worked on power plants, I've sold technical furniture, I've done wind energy, I've done a lot of stuff previously. But I believe everything that I've learned in my journey and the kind of people that I've dealt with has led me to a place where I've realized that there is one bigger problem that I need to probably address. So it all aligns.
And it's having the right mindset. Like, you can feel pretty crappy about it, or you can feel really good about it. So it really comes down to setting the right mindset. Everybody told me, not one person, my wife, and my parents, my family doesn't count. Everybody that's not in my family told me I absolutely shouldn't start a business in India.
You shouldn't start.
I should not.
Right.
Because they said, you know the market and you know how to build a business, or you have experience in building some businesses. India won't work, you won't settle in, and it won't work for you, and you'll be a fish out of water. And I said, maybe that's all true, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because, so there is this notion that you can't come from the outside in here and fit in. And I just think that that's a very misplaced notion.
Yep.
Because it's about the mindset.
Yep.
If you're here excited about something, traffic doesn't matter as much. To me, it matters more to you probably than it does to me. And I always tell people, I go, but I already knew it was going to take 45 minutes to go 10 kilometers. So I was prepared for that.
Yeah.
I get that it's been bugging you for a much longer time than it's been bugging me. But you know what? If I start letting those things get in the way, you think the US doesn't have problems to live in? You think UK doesn't have problems? You think Australia doesn't have problems? Because people haven't lived there, you don't know what those kinds of problems are.
Yep.
Right? Therefore, every place has drawbacks and positives.
Yeah.
It's your mindset.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. I mean, if you find a workaround, like just using your example, like if there's traffic over here, I get a lot of work done when I'm in traffic.
Right.
I mean, there's just so much, and actually that is one of the places where I have nobody disturbing me, nobody coming to me, asking me questions, nobody calling me. I can actually get a lot of work.
I was going to say that, but I thought your viewers would think I was nuts.
No, we can.
But that's how I am. I sit in the car and I just feel I can get on a call, Bluetooth, whatever it is, and I'm at peace.
Yeah.
In some instances, not all the time. Not all the time. But the fact is, that's what life's about. There are challenges everywhere. But I think the consumer is so exciting in India today and is willing to take so many, I often give a good example, right? People talk about household income.
Yeah.
Who can afford your product? And I say if your household income is above, say, 50,000, or your household income of everybody together is above 1 lakh, and there's all these statistics out there. It's all looking at the future with the rear view mirror. Because I have people in my office who are just freshers who have come out, who don't make that much money.
Yeah.
But I go, what are you buying? It's like, oh, I'm buying that protein shake. I'm like, that's like a 2,500, because they're like it's like I'm old enough to think of them as my kids.
Absolutely.
So I almost look at their own purchase. I'm just, how much are you saving? How much?
Just by the way, since we're on that topic, can you tell our viewers, our listeners, that how old you are? Because I was surprised when you told me you were.
I just turned 49 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and
well, half of them think I look older, and so half of them I think I look younger.
It's probably because of the grace, but trust me, like I don't know, but I think I look elder to you, and I'm just 37, 36. But
it's just like those are lucky genes, and
no, you take good care of yourself, I'm sure.
So, but yeah, I go, how much is that protein shake?
Yeah,
I'm like 2,500. So I said, $2,500 on a protein shake, dude.
You're making 20K a month.
And I go, you sure you want to be spending that much? I mean, I know you are. You want. He's like, it's not even a question to him.
Yeah.
Right? Or her, or the girls working them out. So what you choose to spend and invest your money on today in a generation that is in their 20s to 30s, mid 20s to, let's say, even mid 30s, is very different than your parents, and is completely unexplainable. Your grandparents and great grandparents would look at that boy or girls making that much money, buying 10% of their monthly income on a protein shake
and flipping out.
Slack. But that's how they prioritize themselves, right? So household income is important, but household income overlaid on mindset.
Yeah.
Because there's a guy who's making 5 lakhs a month. वो protein छूता भी नहीं है.
वो नीचे भेलपुरी खाएगा.
कभी भी छुएगा भी नहीं. So it's not about disposable income. It's about mindset and enough income.
Correct.
And so I think that's changing so much in India. It's very hard to forecast where it's all going to go.
I'll give you a funny story of one of my clients. I was doing a consult call with one of my clients probably a year and a half back, and I'm not going to name him, but a TV celebrity, and out of work at that point of time, and he was like, "Okay, Prateek, we finished our program. We finished the first leg of our program. I want to renew, but I'm kind of skeptical because this is what I have in my bank account, and probably rent's going to take around 30% of it. Food and groceries would take around 15-20% of it. Your fee would take around another 30% of it, and my gym membership is going to take around 10-15% of it. So I'm probably going to be left with barely anything. I was like, yeah, cool, that's your call, and I mean, I understand, and I'm willing to probably work on whatever way you want, and if you want to let go of it, it's fine, I'll give you the support. He's like, no, I cannot let go of it because it's my work, and I need to invest in my health, whether I'm getting work or no. I need to make sure that I'm fit, I'm ready. And somebody who was probably, and he wasn't under six digits. Yeah, he wasn't speaking under 6 digits, right? He's still making over and above 1 lakh a month.
Correct.
He still had that much as his monthly budget. Yet he chose to invest everything into himself. So it's the mindset.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the people believe that there is a brighter day tomorrow. You know what's exciting today? And these are my opinions, but
It's a promise. It's a promise.
Yeah, exactly. And in the past, I'm not so sure how much the previous generations had the luxury of just saying, "Don't worry, spend today. I'll have it tomorrow." They grew up in a generation where they had to conserve, and they had to save, which is what's giving you the luxury, Mr. Youngster and Miss Youngster, and I'll tell all your viewers, it's your parents' hard work and savings that has given you the safety net to go indulge in yourself.
Correct. To take that, to have that risk appetite. They had to put the
hard yards. They had to put in the hard yards that gave this whole generation the safety net. And the reason I think it's relevant to talk about this stuff is because it's relevant to the changing mindsets that we see today and the ones that we can't even foresee. My son is 14, right? Today, well, his mom's a nutritionist, but he talks about macros because he plays cricket, and not in crazy ways, but he loves his ice cream and his junk food, which he's heavily controlled, but he also knows enough, right?
To make the better choice.
When I was 14, I think I was eating milk powder straight from the dabba with 2 spoons.
Nestle every day.
Right? I was probably eating like Ovaltine. Like, le lo beta, third spoon bhi le lo beta. Right? And my son knows that's like that's a treat. That's like a no-go zone.
Yeah.
Imagine by the time he becomes 20.
Yeah.
What is going to be his knowledge? Forget today's consumer. Look at 5 years, 6 years down the line. They're going to be so literate nutritionally and so aware of their love and what they love, what works for them, etc. You got to think about how you're going to cater to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that my business, in my business or in Fitcru overall, the average age of the consumer is reducing, right? Like if initially we started off with people who were above 40, now our average age is 35. To be honest, that's the kind of consumer, and it is decreasing. So that means younger people are looking for that solution, are looking for that kind of education, are looking for that personalized attention that I want to make my life a lot better. And 100%, like the way people are aware is kind of scary at times. And I feel I might be running out of business because the kind of awareness that they're out there. Yeah, there are always people who need that kind of support. But yeah, tell me, do you feel like you brought up a very important point, like how the previous generation built a safety net for today's generation. Do you think we're going to go back into that entire cycle? Because I really hope we do. I really do hope we do. We get into this mindset, or the generation. My son is 4, and I hope he gets into this mindset that, you know what, I need to spend some, save some. He is aware of how to utilize his finances. And I'm sure with your son being 14, you might have thought about this as well.
Right.
Like, how do you make sure that this guy takes the right decision when I'm not there?
Yeah, I think that's a very big question. I think a very important question. I'm not sure, I will answer it, which is my view. I'm not an expert on this, but to break it into a few pieces, consumerism and the moving from needs to wants.
Yeah.
Your previous generation focused on needs, sacrificed wants and desires. Okay? And said, if I don't need that, it's probably not necessary. This generation has their needs taken care of.
Yeah.
Right? Parents may have a home. Not all of them. There's tons of kids that are hungry and don't have a safety net. So let's not assume everybody has a safety net. But those that do now are focused on wants, which is I want to look good, I want to go on that holiday, and desires, which is how quickly can I get that car I want.
Yeah.
Not am I going to be afford health insurance, which is a need. So as we move from needs to wants to desires as a society, that's extremely critical for the growth of the economy. It's very important for us to thrive as a consumer economy. That being said, I think the cultural values of our country as a whole, with being the mix and secular country that it is, with so many different cultures coming in, but some of the common truths around India, regardless of its diversity, will seep into the kids and into your generation when you hit that life stage.
Yeah.
Look at you, you're asking about it.
Yeah.
Right? You're not saying, it doesn't matter. So maybe 10 years ago you would have thought differently. Today you're thinking differently, and you have a kid and you want the kid to have the right values. So those will come in. So the perfect balance of take care of tomorrow, build a foundation, don't blow everything today, blow everything up today, but at the same time, live.
Yeah.
Because your living is going to keep the country's economy growing, which is going to uplift someone else and a manufacturer and somebody who's working in a factory and so on and so forth. So it's a delicate balance of consumerism, which cannot go buck wild like it did in the US, where everybody's spending on credit cards and home equity loans and credit spending. And one day that bubble gets so big, and when it bursts, everybody's in debt.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean.
The good news is, in our country, the financial system, the banking system, the credit card system is much, much more conservative than the West. And I believe that it will continue to remain that way, which will make sure, whether you like it or not, there'll be systems put in place. So I think it's going to be between that conservatism and this exuberance together makes India a formidable force.
And that's why we have so many foreign investors coming in. Like yesterday, did I tell you about it on a call? Just yesterday, I got this call from one of I wouldn't call him friends, but I know him since my previous company, and runs a family office and all that. And he told me that he's just signed a deal with one of his financial managers, where they are investing around 100 million in India right now, and they've got a mandate that they need to invest 100 million in the next 4 months, split 30% on health tech, 30% on financial, 30% on real estate, split in those three sectors. And they're like, people in the West are going very heavy on India.
India is an overweight right now because it's the fastest growing large economy. It's going off of a small base, so there's a lot more headroom. And economists talk about the demographic dividend, which is the youngest population. And the
youngest population willing to spend.
And willing to learn, and very bright.
Yeah.
Right. And I know I'm obviously biased, right? Because we're all Indians, but we're bright. We have a lot going for us, and I guess that's the magnetic thing that pulled me here.
Lovely. So, what do you do while you're managing your personal life, your professional life, a product that you're trying to educate people about? What do you do for your health and fitness? How do you keep things in check?
Yeah, I think I'm a bit old school in that way. And I don't know if old school because I'm not an expert, but I've always believed that keep it simple and keep it consistent.
Yeah.
So today I had a 9:00 flight, but I know I couldn't work out yesterday and the day before because of my schedule. So did I need to wake up a little bit earlier to do it today? Otherwise, it plays in my head that I haven't done it.
It's been 3 days.
Very simple.
Yeah.
I just have to wake up and do it because that's what consistency means. I don't have to go in there and do some huge 1.5 hour exercise that I want to do or normally do. I'll go in and do what I can.
Correct.
Time permitting, and I don't want to be tired. So I think keeping it simple, commonsensical, knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Right? So having the right knowledge of how to exercise, what exercises to do, what works for you, right? These two things are extremely important without getting over anxious about it, right? And working yourself up, whether you did it, didn't do it, but just go easy. The third thing is I pay a hell of a lot of attention to my diet, right?
You better. Like the founder of Hello Tempeh better.
Yeah. I pay a lot of attention to my diet. And therefore, I have built just my food muscles, if you will, crave things that are actually good for me.
Yeah.
And I have fun, and I love ice cream, and I'll eat whatever from time to time that I enjoy eating. But I think if you're disciplined a good portion of the time and know what you're doing, you'll be healthy,
Yeah.
right? You can't foresee everything.
Oh, obviously.
But I know everybody doesn't have to be ripped. I'm not, you are.
I'm not ripped either.
And no, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
everybody doesn't have to have that perfect body. Like today, I see people in the gym who look like they've just started working, let's say at the age of 50 or 55, and I can see it's like, "Bhai, six pack chahiye. And I'm like, great, that's good, and whatever motivates you, but that's not like the be all and end all,
Yeah.
right? Because it creates a lot of anxiety, like around having that perfect something. Just a little bit of consistency, good habits, I think is my motto in life. And I don't do fancy exercises. I know they're out there, but I stick to my old, like my deadlifts, my squats, my shoulder. Like my exercises are very boring and old.
Yeah. The same compound lifts and just that.
It's simple. Like,
What works for you?
yeah.
Yeah. And how much of attention do you pay to your mental health? And what do you do for it?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Because I'm sure it must be getting taxing, like taking care of yourself.
Well, I have a daughter in college who just started a college in the
Okay.
US, and then I have my son, and my family is moving to India now from Dubai. And so, yeah, I think there is no short answer to that. I read a lot of Marcus Aurelius. It's a fantastic writer from a Greek philosopher. Portions of the Bhagavad Gita, which I think are quite good in terms of talking about attitude and
Managing
mental health.
life.
Yeah, and managing life and challenges,
Yeah.
because that's what it's about. And I think in today's day and age, there's probably three things that I think are pretty critical. One is avoid comparing yourself to others. Right? I'm not sitting here trying to dispense some like philosophy, but how I manage myself is, we love ourselves, as Marcus would say, we love ourselves so much, but we care most about what other people think.
About us, yeah. Yeah.
But we love ourselves the
Yeah.
most. Second is be real,
Yeah.
right? Be real, like look at world with a real lens, right? But be positive at the same time,
Yeah.
right? There's people who have it worse. Trust me, there's people who have it
yeah.
worse,
Absolutely.
right? And the third part, which is it's hard to follow, but live in the moment. Don't let tomorrow's imaginary problems screw your today up. And it's hard work, but I try to live by those. And so
Be present. Just be present.
yeah, but it's not easy, and
Oh,
there's no
it's-
perfect answers. I think you're gonna have to find your philosophy that you can keep working on every day.
Yeah. It's mainly about the thoughts that go in your head. So
Yeah, which is an imaginary future. Like
Yeah.
all this negativity around what could go wrong tomorrow
Yeah.
screws up your today. And two, comparing yourself with where that person is versus where you are, where this business is versus where you are, can be quite draining. And the problem is they drain you. It drains your
takes away
energy,
the energy.
which that energy should be put towards focusing on
Constructive.
what is happening today.
Yeah.
Right? It's an energy suck.
Yeah.
And I think it's the energy suck that's the problem.
Wow. That's a good thought. So yeah, do you have any good customer stories that you would like to share with us? Any client stories which would be funny, entertaining? Because I'm sure with a new product that comes out, you might
Yeah.
have had some funny feedback or some interesting feedback rather.
Yeah, I think, well, when you asked me that question, because this is impromptu, the first thing that came to mind was a very funny story. So one of our first customers was, I think she might have been 68 or 70. She'll be 70 now. She's 68 then. And she called the helpline number and was a bit agitated and said, I'd like to speak. She didn't say founder. That's not in her lingo, like
Yeah,
founder.
founder.
She's like,
Boss kaun hai?
Can I speak to somebody here? She's like, yeah, how can I help you? She goes, my husband suffers from this thing and he needs more protein. And I was very excited, but, I cooked it and, I'm a fantastic cook. Like that was like the first 15 minutes of the call. I'm a fantastic cook. There's something wrong with your product, right? If I can't cook it well, then there's something wrong with your product. So we said, hey, it's early days. Like I'm talking about first month, 2 months, right? And I said, it's a new product. So let me tell you some tips and tricks. Have you seen our video? There's this QR code you can scan. She didn't want none of that.
Yeah.
So, but she kept insisting you're a good cook, and she's like my parents' age, and so I just said, "Auntie, I'm going to come to your house. Can I come to your house?" She was like, "You're going to do what?" I said, "I'm going to come to your house, and I want to experience it with you." And I had to drive an hour to go to see them, and I sat there, and she knew her husband needed protein, right?
Yep.
Because of the condition he had. It was not like he was trying to be fit or this or that. He needed protein for survival.
Was it cancer?
Yeah, it's cancer related. Okay. And so he needed protein, and she needed to cook for him, and was getting pretty pissed off that she couldn't make it the tastiest it could be, but it was new.
Yeah.
I think I spent like 2 hours in the kitchen doing a whole bunch of recipes. Of course, I took my chef because, I was afraid of her. I was very afraid of her.
Boss,
and I took my chef there, and I was like, and we made some great food, and the husband loved it, and she didn't pan toss it properly. She was choosing it like paneer, and she was a good cook, but there was some basics that she
wasn't aware of. Maybe.
She's not looking at YouTube and all this other stuff,
Yeah.
right? She was instinctively cooking it, so it kind of guided her in the right way. And we're still in touch today, and she's, she buys it only by WhatsApping me.
Yeah?
I said, just WhatsApp me when you need it. And 3 years later, she WhatsApped me. I said, it's now available in all these shops. He goes, no, I'll WhatsApp you. So she WhatsApps me. I send her a payment link.
Oh.
She pays it, and then it gets delivered. And it was very hard. And the reason I talk about it being funny is that completely off the demographic that we're after.
Yeah.
Completely off the demographic. Desperate for protein. Desperate to make food tasty for her husband. And a great cook. And today a loyal customer. And I wish I could go to 1 billion people's kitchens and do it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I think we would have a $1 billion company because we would teach everybody how to make it right and how to get it right. We can't do it. So that was a very heartwarming, funny story. Funny because you got to know her to know how funny it was. And she was scolding me half the time. And my instructions were not right and not written properly. It was quite cute. We learned a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come to. Like, I was like, that wasn't your target customer, but you got probably the biggest learnings in your early days by not hitting a target customer.
And the other one is when these teenagers on the other end of the spectrum, their parents haven't bought into the whole I need protein thing. Okay, so it's funny. I haven't visited them, but I've talked to these kids, and they're about 19 to 23 age group in the same family. There's 3 of them.
Okay.
They're protein seekers, what I call it. It's like and there's a constant fight in the house.
कौन सा protein बनेगा?
Protein नहीं है. The mother's like, कितना protein खाएगा? It's like, dal chawal khale beta. It's like, and the kids are like, no mom. It's like, you don't understand. Dal mein more carbs. So it's one of those, right? And now they're bringing tempeh and getting the mother to cook the tempeh now. So the mother's like, ye kahan se aa gaya tempeh? It's like, no, mom, you have to make it. We liked it and we tried it at this event and blah, 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 blah. And I had to get, and now talking to these young kids whose parents haven't prioritized protein, but they've prioritized it in the household. So what we started realizing is there's this duality in homes where there's a generation that isn't still bought into it, fair enough. And there's the next generation that's compelling them to do it.
Yeah.
Which is another fantastic insight
absolutely.
For us. And you can probably resonate with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a generational difference.
Yeah, and because I think it's a lot to do with the sports also, like the kind of awareness in sports and the way the country is pushing sport overall in the younger generation. I myself personally go to a lot of schools, colleges, and have seminars and webinars educating people how they can eat, and they come up with really interesting questions, and the teachers and the principal or the professors don't have such questions that the kids come up with, whether it's the nutrient value of a plant or it's how much protein one needs to consume.
Correct.
But they are coming up with those questions. They have that inquiry in them that they want to ask that question, right? They want to be aware, whereas the teachers wouldn't even care. They don't care. Protein aa raha hai, carbs aa raha hai.
Yeah. And in fact, and I will say this, and I think it's not controversial, but it's going to come off a little bit like that. But I feel strongly enough, so I'm going to just say it. is I think there is a group of nutritionists and people in India today that are almost characterizing protein as a bad word. And they're like, yeah, there's all these people talking about protein. Don't listen to them. You just keep eating what we've been eating for 2,000 years and you'll just be fine. Okay. And I'm saying for now. Nobody said eating what we've been eating for 2,000 years is bad. But there is a good quality that comes with protein and it's great to add to your diet. Because human nature is to be binary, which is, acha, protein means all protein. No protein means only gar ka khana. Like there's no way for both to coexist like they do in my life. I have a katori tempeh or tofu, whatever protein there is. And I also have dal and I also have a sabji and I also have arbi and also have a protein into your diet is critical. And I think they're doing India a real disservice by deminimizing the importance of protein and really well-heeled nutritionists because they don't understand it. And what they claim to worry about is that too much protein is also bad for you.
But it's very difficult to hit protein.
Right? I said, of course, too much protein is bad for you.
Too much fat is bad for you. Too much carbs.
Too much carbs is bad for you. Too much sugar is bad for you. But at a very general populace level, we are so far from being over-proteined that them saying that is creating this mood that gives the person that doesn't want to make the effort for protein saying, unhone keh diya, abhi chodo ye.
Correct. You're right.
They're doing a disservice to the country.
Well, I do agree with you. And in fact, it's these people who try to be absolutely polar and like have that extremity in thought that either you be here on this side of the spectrum or this. Either you go like vegan or vegetarian and don't consume anything else, and not from religious purposes, like just from health scares or these studies that come out with saying that eggs are bad or chicken is bad and this is bad and that is bad. And then people just go drastic and try to be completely on one side of the spectrum versus there can be a balance, right?
There needs to be a balance.
Exactly.
For example, we sell tempeh as protein, but it's also high fiber. We don't say eat tempeh and don't eat rice. We don't say eat tempeh without a chapati. We say eat it, make it into a nice curry and eat it with the chapati, eat it with rice. Sometimes throw some cheese on it. If you're vegan, put the vegan cheese on it. If you're feeling like a mac and cheese, throw some tempeh on it so you get some protein with it and taste. Nobody's being absolutist.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where nutritionists with 1 million plus followers who are seasoned and legends in their business are misquoting reports about protein. Right? Some international organization said, oh, the West doesn't need any more protein, it's over protein and most of the world is, and they circled that. In the report, it said there are exceptions like India which aren't, but they didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
Now, what would be the motivation for a legendary nutritionist to misquote a report worrying that India is going to get over-proteined?
Malnourished as a nation.
And so, yes, are there people who say you need 200 grams of, like, forget all that crazy stuff. Forget the crazy protein heads as well.
Yeah.
But
at
don't
least
make
your body
the
weight.
word protein like an inconvenience
to
people when it is something that they need.
Oh yeah, it's a need. It's not a want. It's a need.
And that's a bit irritating.
I'm sure.
Because it's misplaced and does a disservice. So
that's just one of the challenges.
I was on my soapbox there, but
I
never had the opportunity outside of my office. So my staff was so bored of hearing it, I figured I'd bore somebody else.
Not at all. I completely understand that. I resonate with that because when I'm consulting my clients and they tell me no, but I was following this nutritionist and they used to give me sushi or hummus and there's enough protein coming from there and that was about it, or I can have dal chawal and Greek yogurt, usme bhi protein aa gaya. I was like, let me calculate and give you the entire calculations, like what you're consuming, and you will be a little more aware of why you're consuming these foods. Like there is so much benefit from eating enough protein, and I say enough is probably like 0.8 to 1.2 grams per kg of your body weight. I'm not even saying that go ballistic and have 2 times, 3 times of body weight, which a lot of people right now are having and facing different issues.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's pretty challenging to hit even that.
Dude, if you are on 0.2, get to 0.4.
Exactly.
I'm not even talking about 0.8 to 1.2. I'm talking about people who are getting 0.2.
And scared of it. And they're like,
if you weigh 70 kilos, which is, 70 kilos, right? 0.2 is what, 14 grams.
Yeah.
I can tell you, there's people who are not even getting 14 grams.
Yeah, I know.
Or just about getting 14 grams. Arey bhai, if the 14 can become 28, right, or 20, forget the number. Just start eating this. Whether it become 20 or 22 or 18 is better than where you were yesterday.
Absolutely.
That is more relevant than these theoretical calculations of bodybuilder hai, 2x, 3x. It's like what are we even talking? Why are we even talking about that? We're talking about a country that's per capita income is growing,
Yeah.
affluence is growing. We want to eat in nice places. We want to travel the world. Part of it is also your health, and your nutritional mix can grow because you can afford protein more
True that.
than only being able to afford grains like with rice and with pulses and all that. So enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
Embrace it. But I think it threatens a lot of others that don't understand it, and I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, it's like one of those nutritionists or dietitians would say that you don't need to exercise to lose weight. You know, you just follow the diet and you lose weight. Yeah, of course you'll lose weight. You also lose a lot of muscle. You'll also diminish, or you'll reduce the quality or longevity of your life, because ultimately the only thing that you want to invest in is building lean muscle tissue. Because once you cross that 55, 60 years old, then it's downhill from there. And I'm sure, like, you must have seen your parents now, and the rate at which they age and the stresses that they go through. And my mom is 68, and she's had her own health issues, and I can see her age in front of me, and it creates that process of grieving internally, because you don't want to see your parents go, right? And I'm trying to get her to eat more protein, and I'm trying to get her to eat better. But obviously, with that age, trying to transition into that mindset gets very difficult.
There is a resistance, and I think this generation understands that, and will continue to understand it. And I think we have a responsibility to counter extreme voices at both ends. Like if a nutrition comes out and says you should get 2x and 3x, I go, hey man,
chill out,
just calm down. Right? Like, that may be for somebody, but we have a bigger issue to solve here. Don't create this hysteria around this end, because there's people creating hysteria on the other end, and we're just saying your katori has aloo, gobi, dal, chapati, and achar. We're just saying take one of those katoris and add at least 12 grams to it. How about we start that?
Yeah, I know. Makes sense. Makes complete sense. On that topic, so we've actually made a recipe. We've prepped something from our recipe book using your ingredient, and it's our spin-off on how we can add that, exactly like what you said, like just add a little bit in one of the katoris. So we've prepped something. Amit, can you get that here, please?
So how was it?
Lovely. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's best when you keep it fluid like that. We speak about what you actually align with, your intent, and we've got like a lot of content, and we'll be sharing that with you as well.
Yeah, sure.
And I think it is perfect. I think
Good. Thanks.
In fact, I wanted to say that, like, when we are talking about it, but I didn't want to name. But I had one of these celebrity trainers come in just 3 weeks back, and we had Tempeh. He wasn't even aware about Tempeh, and he's one of, like, India's biggest. Like, he's training everybody from Salman Khan to Vicky Kaushal and all these people. And I made him taste Tempeh, and he's like, it's too spicy for me, but I didn't know it had this kind of a nutritional value, the amount of protein that it's giving. I was like, yes, it is. And then obviously he said that, then you can probably include it here, there, everywhere. He started using his brains. But the lack of information that is there, even with people like him.
Yeah, it's true. We have a road to, we have more
it's a long
ground to make.
journey.
No, we have a ground to make in that regard.
Yeah.
There's no question. And I think even if people hear about it, getting them to pay attention. On that note, we should do some work together.
I'm game.
We'll figure out a way to make it worth your while, but also spread the word.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
You're connected in the right circles, and we can make
100%.
pull it off. And hummus is good, right?
Yeah.
So you can eat hummus with your protein.
Absolutely, and the reason why I picked this combination, or we picked this combination, was because it also balances your gut health, right? So hummus is known for irritating your gut a little bit, because chickpea, right?
Yeah.
And tempeh with the fermentation is actually going to neutralize it.
Yeah.
So you get the nutritional benefit. You also counterbalance the uneasiness that could probably come with the hummus, and it balances the flavor as well. So each roll has around 450 calories.
Okay.
25 plus grams of protein, around 40 grams of carbs, and that's the carbs are not because of the tempeh. The carbs are because of the hummus and the wrap that we used. And please go ahead and try it. Let me know how it feels. I'm definitely going to have it. I'm starving.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice and warm as well.
Oh wow.
Now we're gonna sound like one of those chef weirdos from one of those shows, right?
Master Chef?
Yeah, we're gonna sound like we really know what we're talking about. But I will tell you in my own, the tanginess of the Thai, along with the
hummus.
The tanginess is balanced out with the plainness
Exactly.
of the hummus. It's cooling it off. Otherwise, it'd be a lot spicier.
Do you like your product?
Great job, man.
Yep.
On the rock.
So that's what we do at Fitcru. And I'm not like advertising my company, but we try to make solutions for people where they enjoy food and it actually heals them internally.
Another thing to do is the hummus is already here. For people who like things that are saucy, right? Like if there's a labne, if you don't have hummus and you want to use a labne,
Yeah.
or
Have a dip.
something else, you have a dip, because Indian palate loves things that are wet. Because we're used to taking the chapati and putting it in a dal or putting it in. We like wet and hot, right? Food. So dips go really well with it.
So I actually so the girl who came up with this recipe, Uzma, she told me, why don't we make a salsa with it, like a tomato salsa with it? And I was like, that might just be pushing it.
Yeah.
Because we're doing Thai, we're doing hummus, and then a salsa. Like we might be pushing. And I get that feedback a lot from my clients.
Don't mix too many flavors.
Why are you doing this? Like, this is Indian, this is Italian. I was like, it will go with your palate. Trust me. Like, we try stuff before we make the recipes and we give it to you all.
Yeah. But the hummus is going well with the Thai.
Yeah.
I know it. In life, it's one of those things, right? Having opened a lot of restaurants. If I gave you some food, and if I give you a Thai tempeh with a little bit of hummus on the side, you'd be like, Thai hai, hummus hai. At a product level, it actually works well together. But if you go to a restaurant and some fancy chef says, "Oh, ma'am, I have this Thai thing, and we have drizzled it with a chickpea puree," you'll be like, "Right, kya genius hai, bhai? Kya genius hai?" And then when we do it, we just go, "Hey, man, you're so low, bro. You don't know what you're doing."
I think at every stage or every place in life, you need to come up with some kind of marketing effort in positioning your product, like how you said chickpea puree. I mean, and then people would like spend good money and it will be like a Michelin star recipe maybe. But this is so good.
Right?
I almost
like
finished it. I love it. I love it. Like I told you, like for someone like me who's like looking for better alternatives to meat, this is going to be like maybe my option for lunch now, because this is exactly what I have for lunch every day. Like I try to do like something like an intermittent fasting. I eat directly lunch. Like I train in the morning, go straight up for lunch, then have like fruits in the evening, and have a dinner. And my lunch is also on the go. Like I'm either meeting clients.
And you can mix the tandoori with green chutney, sauce. Even with the same Thai, find cooling dips, and you just at least
you can add some Greek yogurt as well.
Yeah, Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Wow, I finally met my match. I don't think I've ever eaten with somebody in the last 2 decades that's finished the food before me.
Yeah.
I'm known to be like the fastest eater under the sun in this entire world, and I've just been beaten in eating speed. I hope we have captured this on camera.
Yeah.
Because this has to be edited just specifically so my whole family can see this.
But it's also delicious. Yeah?
And then, hey man, when you're complaining to me that I eat too fast, call this guy. First call him and get him to sort it out. They always complain to me. They're like, you eat too fast.
But and this is the irony of things, right? Because like I'm a health coach and I'm a nutrition coach. I tell a lot of my clients that you need to eat slowly, chew it well. But yeah, I mean, every doctor might not follow their own advice.
No, but also my history of being in the business of hospitality, you're working and you get your breaks when you get your breaks.
Yeah.
We used to go to the cafeteria and got to go back on the floor.
Yeah.
Got to operate, do whatever. You're on the go. So sometimes it's that thing that also gets your speed going. Of course, you try to work out and offset it, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well done.
But yeah, this was good. This was so good. Like, I might just ask them to make one more for me later.
Yeah, great, man.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let's move this.
I hope I did okay. I don't do these very often anymore.
Oh yeah. So I'll just quickly conclude this.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh,
learning.
got other skills.
So when we just started this podcast, move this out of the way.
Yeah.
My first guest told me, and he also has his own podcast, and he told me that you need to let people know what they have to do at the end of the podcast. So definitely, guys, please do follow us, do hit the share button, the like button, or whatever platform you are seeing this entire episode. Because the more people that watch our show, the better it's going to be in terms of the quality, the production, the kind of guests like yourself. I mean, we started with my friends and family. We started conversing with them, and now look, we have good founders coming in like yourself, and we'll be able to share better content. We'll be able to provide you with better provide you better information, and yeah, that's about it. Also, like today, we learned so much about this product, Tempeh, which should ideally be a staple in a pantry, right? I mean, it should be a
Yeah.
staple, and unfortunately, a lot of people are not aware about it. So, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
No,
much, Siddharth,
thank you
for like.
for helping us spread the word and teaching people how to use it. And like anything new, we need all the support we can get, and
Great.
we really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you.